Welcome to Expedition Self on OMTimes Radio with lifelong learner, entrepreneur, and creator of the worlds of Expedition Self, Sam Parrotto. Sam shares 4 decades of studying, guiding, and teaching how to go inside so we can build an incredibly powerful, dynamic, and validating relationship with the self. Expedition Self is laced with stellar, unexpected insights about what it means to be human. Listen now and ignite your self-development process with Sam Parrotto.
Well, hello and welcome to Expedition Self. I am the Sam Parrotto that was talked about just now. I always get a chuckle out of that. And today we are going to talk about the true nature of giving and receiving. Boy, over the years, I have been in this conversation a lot. So the knowing that I get to actually talk about it on the radio show today is great. Also, I got on today and I don't have my headphones and my mic like I usually do. So this is going to feel a little odd to me as we go through it. I also want to remind you that it is a call-in show. I keep urging people to call in. I'm hoping today will be the day that people want to tell me about their gift-giving experience or their receiving, right? And you can call in at 202-570-7057. So, gosh, wow, we are having some time of it right now, aren't we? And I want to just take a minute before we dive into the topic. Yeah, I have no words to say. You know, I full well knowing that every person has their own take on what's happening and what they're doing about it or can do about it. But you know what I do know is that it doesn't seem like there's much peace for any of us, right? Like it's beyond reach to feel solidly secure and safe, you know, with the knowing that we're okay and we're generally working towards the same goal. So as we get started today, I just want to send love and healing and understanding and empathy to you who are listening as you attempt to go through and grow through all that's landing on your doorstep. You know, whether it's health issues or money or family stuff or job needs, or if it's the political environment or the condition of the earth and the way we care for it, or the socioeconomic issues, whatever it is, I just want this moment right now with me to be about appreciating that you are living in it right now. You know, doing and being all that you feel capable of. I know it's just not easy. And it's pushing all the time, right? No real peace or calm. It seems like every person I talk to, they have something major going on, like a flood in their kitchen or the loss of a family pet or a career change or extreme weather, you know, results, something that's happened, you know, in terms of a crisis, just so much. So I'd like to remind those of you who are with me today to bring an open heart to life and to each other. You know, I doubt that anyone is playing their best game right now. You know, you aren't, they aren't, your friend isn't, I'm not. You know, we're just needing to bring a ton of compassion and you know, empathy and a desire to understand, right, as we deal with a sense of disrupted foundation, you know, as our daily lives are so disrupted. So, all right, so let's all just take a deep breath, all right? So let's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and then breathe out, 2, 3, 4, and just pause for a moment. Okay, so don't forget our number, all right, is 202-520-7057. So, okay, in this hour, we're going to talk about giving and receiving, and I'd like to start with a few questions just to get you in the mood. What was the favorite gift you ever received in your whole life? What was the favorite gift you ever received in your whole life? And what was the favorite gift you have ever given in your whole life? What was the favorite gift you have given in your whole life? And what was it that made these 2 gifts special and important? What was it that put them on your most favorite list? And then the last question is, do you tend to like to give gifts or receive them? Do you have a tendency to want to give gifts or receive them? So just allow the answers to these questions and this idea of giving and receiving to float through your mind. Moments in your life that stand out, a birthday, a friend who remembered you when you least expected it, any of it. Just bring what's in the background around giving and receiving forward and invite it into the conversation. Somewhere along the way, we actually established holidays as a basis for giving gifts and placing expectations on giving them. Some kind of expectation got put in place, not just inside of one relationship, but as part of the whole social world we occupy. And so I think to myself, I'm not sure how much freedom any of us feel to deviate from the expected norm of when gifts should be given and received. So as you have this in the background about your favorite gift giving and your favorite gift of receiving, we're going to take a little journey here. We're going to pop around and ultimately drop down inside. So for the first part of this conversation, I'm actually talking about gifts, like something that's made or created or bought or offered to another person as a present. Later in the show, though, we'll talk about the way we can relate to life and each other as a gift. But I want to really look at the top layer for what it is before we make our way into that deeper stuff. So I think we all agree that gift giving is a part of life. It says thank you. It shows gratitude. We put our intention behind it, and it tells the recipient, I see you, and I have been listening. I have gone out of my everyday habit to think of you. That sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Except I don't know how often we actually feel this way when being given a gift or in giving one. And I don't know that we recognize gifts for all that's behind them or included in them either. Oh my gosh, we've got a caller. Pauline, what would you like to share with us about gifts and giving?
Yes, I didn't hear the last part of the question, but the giving and the receiving. I'm not usually a good receiver, but I can say what my favorite gift I gave. It was to my late husband. I gave him, what is that called? Name a star. When you send somebody, because he was into astronomy, and I always thought that was the most unique gift I ever gave. But there's probably more unique gifts that I can't think of that's really from the heart that didn't cost me anything. Probably that's much more meaningful, but that just popped in my head because he's gone now, and I remember I said someday, and I also gave that gift. Name a star after somebody. I gave it to his father when he passed away, to his family. So I still think that's a meaningful gift because you name a star after a baby being born. That's just something that I found unique because I'm a star child, I guess. That's probably now I know I am. But receiving, to tell you the truth, if I can't think of any physical gift that I can remember, there's a lot of stuff that could have cost money, but that doesn't, pop in my head. What I remember is when somebody gave me their time. Like I had a boyfriend at one point where he spent the day with me. That was the most precious thing that I can remember. And I think just nowadays with all this crazy stuff going on with the supply chain and all this running and people are not having as much money to spend, what? My girlfriend's actually going to send me cookies. And I'm like, because I remember her great baking skills. And I said, oh, can you send me some Mexican wedding cake? And she's making gingerbread. She hasn't sent any out to anybody. I said, she's just going to make me an exception. I'm like, oh, so happy that I'm going to get that. And it might not arrive till after Christmas, but I don't care. And I was warned by my healer, don't eat any sugar and don't eat any of this. I don't care. As long as it brings me joy, I'm eating it.
Well, that is definitely a gift. What did you call it? A Mexican what cake?
Yeah, a Mexican wedding cake. It's like powdered shape, looks like a moon, but it's powdered, confection sugar. Oh,
yeah,
delicious.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that sounds like.
And we were talking about cookies called it's named after Madeline. Her daughter's named Madeline, but it's spelled with an L. And she said that's French cookies, butter, very rich. Yeah. I said, really? I said, I thought that's what she named her daughter that. I said, well, I saw the cookies in the supermarket, but it's not the same, quality cookie when somebody makes it that's fresh and baked.
Well, no, because you know what? That really fits with how you talk about that when someone gives their time. Is the making up cookies, is they're putting their love into the
and she lovingly does it. She says she puts special things in. She's a healer as well, so she puts all kinds of stuff on my cookies. It wasn't just regular. I know people who love doing things. They send such beautiful energy with it. It's not just, like some people who make it out of just making money. It doesn't taste the same.
It's not just a thing. That's right. Well, I really appreciate you calling in. I did want to just comment.
You got your wish. I hope.
Yes, I did.
You don't get that many calls. So I heard that. I go, I got to call in. It's a live show.
Well, you absolutely. Today before
what was the last question? You said there was another part of the question that I didn't hear.
Well, I asked what was the best gift that you ever received?
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked what was it that made it special and important, which you actually shared. And then you also answered the question, which is, do you tend to give gifts or receive them? And you answered that as well. So you actually answered all of them, but I did want to mention about the star, the star in the sky for your husband and his father. What a magical thing to think about their two stars twinkling in the sky together.
Yeah, I should get myself one now that I think about it.
Yeah.
This year, nobody's going to send me a gift. I didn't have a birthday party. My birthday was December 19th. So I said, you know what? I actually keep buying stuff for myself, but you know what? That's even more special. I'm going to give myself a star.
That sounds awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making my gift. It was really a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having your show, by the way.
Oh, you are quite welcome. Have an awesome
It's very important. Everybody love yourself. You have to do that before you do anything else. I learned that. It took me the longest time. I've been working healing other people, but I never healed me. And I always do myself last. Put yourself first. You're not selfish. It's self-full to do that. Thank you.
That's right. That's why we have to go inside, right, and build that relationship.
Yeah, you have the perfect show. I love your show. I mean, I really do. I never catch it live usually, but I really love your show. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have an awesome evening. Okay, well, thank you so much, Holly. Honestly, I've got tears running down my cheeks. I'm so excited because it means so much to get to talk to people about their lives. Okay, so let's pick up. Actually, it's going to overlap a little bit of what we just talked about as we go through the show and we talk. So, all right, where were we? I got to get back to my notes here. All right, so we talked a little bit about how the reason for giving a gift and what you want it to feel like and how special it is, right, is really, it's not necessarily the way it all works, right? So it sounds beautiful, but it's not actually the way it goes. So let me ask a couple more questions. How many gifts come to you and feel as if someone really sees you? And how often do you give gifts because it's the appropriate or expected time? And what happens when you are given a gift that doesn't feel as if someone really wanted to give it to you, to really put their heart into the giving? So herein lies the first issue I'd like for you to consider, is that there's too much pressure on everyone around gifts. That this pressure, you should do this, you should send a thank you note. Did you spend enough money? Did you put enough effort into it? Do you even like that person? There's just too much pressure. We place meaning on gifts and on effort, and we read each and every detail really through the lens of our own life experience. And so this is pressure. So I'd like to share with you something that happened to me a long time ago. And hold on, please don't judge me because, you know, it's all growth. But a long, long time ago, he gave me a piece of jewelry for Christmas. Oh, wait. Let me backtrack just a bit here. You should know that giving special Christmas gifts was his forte. Like, he put all this effort and thought into his gifts. It was a huge deal. And each year I would open my gifts to find it very special, beautiful, where I would feel seen, present. But on this 1 year, after we'd been together about 10 years, it was obvious to me that he did not put this effort into what he got. So now I sit here years later and I really question what happened there. But I can tell you, I wasn't silent about it. Like, to me, what we needed to talk about was that something was different. Like, I wanted to know what had happened. All that meaning that those gifts had, all of a sudden, it sent a different message. I know. You're probably thinking, how ungrateful could she be to question it? Like, he gives all these great gifts. But in truth, the Christmas gift giving had nothing to do with gift giving and gratitude by that point. It had to do with another way that demonstrated how I was loved, like his way of communicating a message to me. And on that year, the message just didn't seem like a loving one. And I have to say, I don't remember now as I look back what actually happened, other than I know that I talked about it. And I think he acknowledged that he didn't put as much energy into his search for the perfect gift. And, you know, at the time, I felt like that turned out to be the gift. Our ability to be honest about what was really going on in our relationship, like really, right? That the gift was a reflection of, it's not always that case, but in that case. And I will say that now, years later, I look back and the whole gift giving thing had just had too much pressure on it. It had just gotten to be too big a deal. And I think on another year, I don't remember whether it was before or after this, he actually got me a gift that I experienced as really, really over the top. And I kept pushing it across the table saying, listen, it's too much. I cannot keep that. Right? Because in our house, it became all of this pressure to give a gift that touched someone's heart so much that they cried. And I was crying that day. But what was sandwiched in the middle was this incredible sense of trying to receive a gift that I was having a tough time receiving. So, okay, when we come back, we're going to dive into that a little more and see what else we can understand about receiving and giving.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
COVID-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
We are talking about the true nature of giving and receiving today. And before we went on break, I was talking a little bit about some of the gift giving that happened in my house years ago. But really what I want to say is that for all of our heart intention to give of ourselves, you know, our desire to follow the social guidelines of life, the truth is that gift giving is loaded up with messages about what is really happening within a relationship. And it likely includes a ton of unspoken, you know, like yet to be worded feelings and thoughts. And because of this, there's a shopping bag full of stuff to work through when we give and receive a gift. And I don't know that we do it. I think it's almost considered rude to talk about giving and receiving when a gift is being exchanged. Hopefully by the end of the show, you'll actually think that a little different about that. So I was talking to a friend this morning who is absolutely like the queen of gift giving, right? Her her presence meets every person's dream for what they would want to receive. And so she was telling me about her new relationship she's in, and she said, well, you know, I asked her kind of what was going on and coming up, and she said, well, he was saying that her gift for the holiday seemed a bit, in quotes, much for him. And she, in all her glory, came back to him and said, this is something you should know about me. I am a gift giver. It is central to who I am, and I never expect any kind of reciprocation. It just makes me happy to give. And so that's part of receiving who I am in this relationship. And so let's think about that, because I personally relate to what she said. When I give a gift, I'm giving of myself. And if you're in a relationship with me, then you're receiving. And I see that as important, all that I am, right? And that's the basis of real intimacy to me. So holy moly, if that's not pressure on the receiver, I don't know what is. And of course, at the same time, it's true that when we give gifts, there's something about expecting to be received and welcomed. I like to think about most things in growth as a pie. Grapes or a pie. Yeah, those are pretty much my two things. So most moments when the action actually happens are really a coming together of multiple motivations and influences and hidden messages and personal patterns and ways of being. And they're coming through a singular act, right? A singular movement, right? So in this example, I want to say that one of the messages when I give a gift or my friend gives a gift is, accept me through the gifts I give. Now, there's a power, a weight, almost even a force in that, because there's power in getting to be the giver. And we don't like to talk about gift giving in the same sentence with use of power, right? Because we want to make it beautiful and open and part of being loving. But I really do believe that it's one of the pie pieces that goes into the giving and receiving thing. The second thing I want to point out here is that not only is there a power dynamic at play, in addition to the heart, right? I'm not saying the heart isn't there as well, but there's also a ton about personal needs that are getting worked out. My sense of self, my sense of being wanted or belonging or being seen, oh baby, it is all on the line. Again, like pressure times 4. So think about this. Even though a ton of gift giving is tied to some event or circumstance in one's life, let's take the case, let's push that aside and take the case that you want to give a gift wholly and completely. You choose it, you want to do it, and then consider that part of what's at play is this power dynamic I described, where you get to have power to give, because there's less vulnerability in the giving, and you load the gift up with your own needs, you know, the ones that have you feel worthy, valued, acceptable, wanted, and safe in your unconscious, right? And let me add one more piece of the pie, your dynamics and history with the person, right? Everything that's happened with them in your relationship. You can think about what I was talking about with my husband at the time. We were having some added dynamics. And one more, everything that's ever happened in your lifetime around gift giving, you know, the way gifts were given to you, the family culture around gift giving and generosity and expectations, all of it is at play when you give your gift. You know, the socioeconomic place that your family had. And then in addition to all of this, you have the communication field between you and that person. What you actually talk about, what you don't touch, how you discuss deeper issues or subconscious things that come through. So this is going to either inhibit or it's going to promote talking about what's beneath and behind the gift-giving experience. So you see what I mean? This gift-giving stuff, whoa, it just isn't as simple as find the perfect thing and make time to snag it and send it on over. No. Your whole self is hanging on it. Your whole self, I tell you. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. I'd like to think that you can get more conscious because some of the elements that I'm covering, and while we're doing this, I always imagine that in the background, you're also enjoying and relishing the gift giving and receiving of your lifetime, or you have experiences or memories that are surfacing, right, that help you kind of connect with your inner self. So, okay, it would start with a good question to ask yourself, which is, well, why do I want to give someone a gift to begin with? We want to ask that question, because when we ask it, we give ourselves room to answer it. And so often we're just downloading the way it is with periods and exclamation points after it instead of question marks. So we start with, when we're giving, even in this time right now, like, why do I want to give someone a gift? And then the next question, which is, how do you know your heart's in it? How do you actually know? Not your head, not the following the rules, not the, I do this because I know I love them and I'm supposed to do it. But I mean, really, how do you know when your heart is in giving a gift? And then it's great when you can get conscious and explore, what are you going to get out of giving this gift? What's it going to do for you? What's it going to make you feel? Right? What do you hope, right, happens out of it, including the loving embrace or the joy that you get to see on their face? What needs are being served? What do you want in return? How are you gaining power out of it? And here's some other questions, a couple more, just to help you if you really want to look at your gift giving. It's, are you doing it because it's expected, or because it's something that does truly express your love or appreciation or care or gratitude? And this is the last one. I love this piece because I feel like unless we give ourselves permission to actually not do something, we never really know that we really want to do it. So this is the question. Do you actually have permission, your permission, to not offer a gift if you don't want to? And not experience judgment, right? Or a life sentence being told you're stingy or selfish. See, these social expectations that are placed on top of our relationships, they really can muddy the water because they deter us from building deeper connections with others and ourselves. And of course, they cause us to take action to do, and oftentimes without truly ensuring that that being part of us is completely aligned. And of course, this becomes a pattern, a kind of habit that doesn't really honor the true desire to give a gift. See, I want us to think about gift giving as a growth place for us. That really, by looking at it closer and by paying attention to it, by going inside to look at it, we're really cleaning off the gift giving and the receiving that goes with it, and that lifts it up. So, I think about it sometimes like this. I think we should rebel, right? Or no, let me think of it as a question. How would we like to rebel? How would you give yourself permission to not have to give gifts when your heart's not in it? How would you give yourself permission to say, you know what, this isn't quite working for me. How do I talk about that? Okay, so now let's flip the conversation we're in and talk instead about receiving. And I want to share with you what I did. And actually, Pauline, you're going to find that this fits with what you just said. As we were talking, you said, I'm going to go to myself a star. And so I really want to bring it back to that moment for you, because this is what I'm going to share here, is that somewhere along the line, I began this new kind of strategy, and it had to do with a new ratio of gift giving. So if I gave one to someone else, then I found something for myself. And, I wondered along the way, why did this matter so much? But I realized it was another way I could take the pressure off of gift giving, both on my inner giver and my inner receiver. Because by making sure that I got a gift that I actually wanted, right, I didn't have to feel that longing or wanting for the one that I was giving, right? And it also allowed me to become unattached to what was given to me, right? The meaning making I would typically do, it wouldn't be blaring in my head, right? Because I could actually receive and appreciate it, because I didn't have some place in my head that's like, well, this wasn't what I really would have wanted, or it wasn't really what I needed at the time. See, I wanted to shift these elements I just described by becoming both the giver and the receiver. And then I was able to remove some of the mystery and the unconsciousness that would happen when I was waiting for someone else to fulfill my needs. I have to say, it was pretty enlightening. For one thing, I really got that power dynamics in being the giver and the real vulnerability in being a receiver, right? Because when I would acquire something or do something for myself or give myself something, I came against all kinds of feelings about my deservability and my worthiness and my selfishness. It was really quite fascinating. Okay, so I just want to take a kind of a little, I always think of it as like stepping out of the main conversation and to the left, is that I often, when I'm in conversation with people and they start talking about their life, I have this sense that they want to hear something specific from me. And it's kind of like, and even if you look at a lot of the communication programs out there, they'll talk about, tell somebody what you need or don't. Like right now, I don't need you to solve my problem. Right now, I just need to hear that I wasn't wrong. And so there's a lot of consciousness that goes on with that. But really, as somebody who's being asked to give that to someone, I don't know about you, but I do experience pressure even on that level, right? Trying to say the right words or trying to give somebody what they really need at that moment when they're focused themselves on, does this actually meet my needs or doesn't it? When we really start looking at giving and receiving, it does, and I know we're talking about it in terms of the packages right now or the gifts that are tangible or whatever, but when you really look, you also start noticing this giving and receiving dynamic in all of your interactions and all of your relationships. You even understand it when you call the local township to get some copy of your tax bill, or when you're going down to the post office, or you're at the grocery store. Like you start to recognize, so I'm off the conversation a little bit, but I want you to realize how important it is to notice the quality with which we approach giving and receiving. Okay, so let's open this part of the conversation up a bit and help you get in touch with being the receiver of gifts. So what constitutes the perfect gift? And when you have received one, what did you do with it on the inside of you? What did it mean to you and about you? And what kinds of expectations were placed on the receiving end of it? So how do you feel about receiving, about letting go and allowing, about not being the one in the lead or in the driver's seat? How does it go for you when someone provides a gift that you have no idea what to do with, that you could never imagine wanting it, and it looks to you like something was totally missing when the person conceived of giving it? What happens when you actually receive but don't have a gift to give back? Do you feel badly about not reciprocating? Do you rush out and try to find something quickly? How do you reconcile this in your head? So if you go through the elements I spoke about earlier in the show, they would hold true for being on the receiving end as well, right? I'm going to kind of go through them again. What needs are being triggered or activated? Do you feel some sense of obligation to take care of the other person's feelings? What need to belong or feel acceptable or valued or worthy is embedded in the receiving of the gift? We can build from there. What are your past experiences that are associated with receiving gifts? When did it put you in a position where you felt disadvantaged, where you didn't meet the expectation of someone who gave you a gift? All that old stuff, it really fuels the freedom to react and receive. I've heard stories about people as they grew up where they weren't grateful enough, and the feedback always was, when someone gives you a gift, you have to look grateful, you have to do this, you have to do that. All of that is loaded up in here. So I'm suggesting you absolutely have a way of being around receiving, that you have thoughts and feelings that are associated with how you've received in your lifetime, with what you got and how it went when you got it, what you didn't get, what you longed for. And all of this is happening at the same moment for the receiver, right? That all of that is happening for the giver. And let's go further, right? What's the history with that person you're receiving from? What expectations do they have? How has gift giving with them gone in the past? Like what I talked about with my husband. What precedents have been set? Do you feel feeling and emotion and heart from them in their gift? So I'm just going to come back. I always return to this. I ask this question over and over inside of my conversation. Why am I giving a gift right now? And how am I receiving this gift right now? Right? Open-ended questions on the ends of your inner work. What they do is they literally keep inviting doorways to open, windows to open, and bridges to make themselves known. And that's what we're always doing. We're trying to build bridges into our unconscious. So the thing about receiving is that it's hard, because every bit of your own sense of self comes up. Do I deserve this? Am I being loving enough in my response? I don't get gifts that connect with what I like or what I want. All right, when we come back from break, it's going to bring me to the next question about receiving.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way
To get inside.
each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
All right, well, welcome back. We are talking about the true nature of giving and receiving. I'm Sam Parrotto, and you are listening to Expedition Self. So before break, I said, all right, we're going to ask another important question about receiving. And so here it is. Should we expect to receive gifts that we will use or want? So I'm just going to say, I don't think expectations in any way serve us unless they're used in conversation, right, to deepen the relationship, like they help us become self-aware, right? The idea that I would place expectations on others, that's really something I want to self-contain and get a hold of. But that said, I think people give gifts for different reasons. Some do it because it just makes them feel good and they don't care whether or not you like it or want it. They gave you something that mattered to them. They took a stab at it, took the risk, and if you don't want it or you want to give it away, it's fine with them. So anything goes as long as you talk about it, as long as you know that they're good with it. I think that, gifting thing, re-gifting, I feel like people at some level, it would be so much easier if everyone said, feel free to re-gift it, right? Because it's possible that that's part of the energy moving through our lives as well. See, gift giving is a symbol of a relationship. The gift itself is less important than the symbolism that's actually being exchanged. So if you can't talk about the gift and what's happening for you as you're receiving it, well, then it suggests that you're not quite as active a part of the relationship or as essential, that your experience of receiving may not matter as much as it should. So when we say, should I expect to receive gifts that I will use or want? That's not the question, really. It's more about, I'm going to say it really slow. Am I free to talk about our gift giving and understand better what goes on in their giving and what I'm feeling about receiving? right? Am I free to talk about our gift giving? You know, a long time ago, I talked about Sandy Brown, my mentor, during the first 25 years of my growth work, and I kept feeling like I needed to give her something that was really important and meaningful in her life as a big thank you for all that she taught me and the way that my life had grown and expanded because of her. So I decided I was going to buy her a car. And it seemed like a grand idea to me. You know, it was a great scheme. So, like, totally a match, right, for what she had gifted me. So when I told her my idea, you know, as the receiver, this was one where someone would definitely have to agree to receive, right? So she graciously declined. And we found another way for me to celebrate her and her life where she was willing to receive. The piece in there that was interesting is that I was still putting a kind of a price tag on what she had given me. And that was really actually diminishing the magnitude of the gift, which is priceless, right? So thank goodness she had more wisdom than me, because when you look at my hotbed of personal reasons and inner material that was behind me wanting to buy that car, there was no way I had cleaned that up enough to actually offer that as a gift. And I can't even speak to what her receiving would have been, but I'm sure it would have been something around freedom and obligation. So I want to drop into this right here on the subject of receiving. You know, I think we can feel held hostage and trapped to react and deal with gifts in the way that someone else wants to. It's part of what I was talking about even in those conversations when I did that outtake earlier. You know, this isn't a great place to be in the world of wanting to free and open the experience of giving and receiving. When we're receiving, if we don't feel free to have our own viewpoint, our own experience, and to talk about it, and to be, it's okay, right, to not be judged as being ungrateful, then not only are we vulnerable, but we can also feel very dominated by the gift giving. And by the way, that can affect how we want to give gifts. It's part of that power dynamic I was speaking about earlier when you're the giver. Receiving is a delicate and complex experience, and you have a responsibility to yourself to get honest about it. Because I really want to say whatever happens in the receiving is going to find its way into the giving. So we can go into our relationship with life and think about what you can let in or receive. Right? You can think about this. So this leads me to the part of the conversation around how we want to receive gifts we like from people we love with wide open hearts, and we want to just relish, like, you know, lick our lips and enjoy the whole experience, right? Slurping it. But really, gift giving is also an opportunity to practice receiving things exactly as they are, whether we want them or not. And really look for the reason that they're a gift, for what they offer us. And a lot of times gifts offer us insight. They give us a chance to notice disconnects in relationship with both ourselves and others. They give us a chance to see where conversation is needed. Right? When gifts don't match up with our expectations, or the way people give gifts doesn't, or the way they don't write thank you notes, it's really a chance to examine and drop into what's really going on. These are my favorite 3 words, really, I think, of all time. Oh, no, they're 4 words. What's really going on? You want to be a self-developer. You want to go inside. You'll ask that question to yourself as many times a day as you can muster the time to do it. Because those 4 words, open up a world of possibility, because they take you into territory that you haven't already solved. You haven't already wrapped it in a box and put it away in the big encyclopedia of you. So recognizing that giving and receiving are big parts of life, and that they're huge moments to look at what's happening inside of you. You have a chance to go further and question these things that you might just unconsciously do. You get to notice some more how you feel. And what needs are in play, and what past experiences have informed your responses and reactions. There is something so beautiful about gift giving too, right? Or that knowing that someone needs or wants something that they wouldn't provide for themselves, and seeing it so clearly and knowing that you can provide that. But, and with all, and including, here's the big thing. You are a gift. You are the gift. And I think if you really got that about yourself, then the gift giving and the receiving in your life, it would reflect this. How often do you talk to yourself as if you are a gift? How often do you appreciate yourself, even if you feel wrong or like you didn't hit the mark? And I don't mean gloss over the top of it and like fake yourself through it like it didn't even count. I mean when you're actually you're down on yourself, right? And you actually find a way to see yourself and your entire experience as a gift. In this moment, I'd like you to think about how you give and receive gifts with others. And I invite you to put yourself in both positions, the giver and the receiver. Now, I'm saying you're going to picture yourself looking at yourself, all right? So there's you who's listening to me, then there's you, the giver, and there's you, the receiver. They can wear anything they want. So what do you want to be given in life right now? What gifts would you like to receive? And how do you feel about not having gotten this thing or that thing before? So as you picture yourself looking at yourself with this gift in your hand, what do you notice? You are there. You are watching you, the giver, give a gift to you, the receiver. How does it feel to be placing that gift in your hand? What does it feel like to receive this gift? This is what's beneath your gift giving and receiving. Yeah, there is a relationship with someone that's also playing a role, for sure. One that would benefit, from more consciousness and conversation. But what lives beneath that is you with you as the gift, giving of yourself and receiving. And not just what you want, but actually seeing that all of life is offering you something that has ultimate value to you. So this brings me really to the last piece of this conversation, the part that has to do with how you recognize that each person is different in this area of life. Where one person wants to give gifts, another doesn't. Maybe none of their gifts of who they are were really appreciated in their lifetime. Who knows? You remember, we've got these lengthy paths that impact everything that has to do with giving and receiving. There's a story behind it all. So when you want to understand your own story better, then you're going to want to understand theirs better. And again, this makes great relationship conversation. So you would say things like, how is this connected to that? When you gave me that gift for my birthday, what was it expressing for you? Such good stuff. It's just yummy, yummy, yummy. Just creates more and more connection and intimacy. So if we see everything in life as a gift, then the intentional gift giving being done is just, it's not the only place we make meaning. It happens at other times now that aren't prescribed for giving. And this opens up everything. Because giving, it gets unhinged from the social programming of dates and appropriate times. And we're able to remove many of our expectations of how others receive what we give. And we're more open to exploring the whole and hidden stories behind our giving and receiving. And then the next thing you know, your life is more abundant. And you're less attached to your gift giving in the same way. And so it just generates more and more acknowledgement of who you are as a person. And so, that specific gift, right, that had to get there exactly right, or the thank you note that's part of it, it becomes unimportant too. Because what happened was that you truly gave yourself to life. And then life, it gave itself to you. I know that a lot of times we say, oh no, I see gifts all over in life. But I have yet to see somebody that 24/7, no matter what comes to them, Do they see that as a gift? Because experientially, right, at a sensory level, we are having an experience of things that we like, pleasure, and things we don't like, discomfort or fear or confusion or anxiety. And so what I'm really talking about when you start to explore giving and receiving is I'm talking about the idea that you can have an inner experience like that, but that you can still bring yourself to life with the idea, it's a courageous idea, really, of I want to receive what life gives me, to learn from, to gain insight about, to generate new wisdom, to open relationships, right? And it's not easy, because when we step up to life that way, in an undefended way, really inviting life to give us all the gifts, whether we think that they're gifts or not, it means we're going to feel a lot. And when we feel a lot, we're going to have to do that inner work to connect old experiences with new ones, and to cry about them or to rail about them, but to go back and get more and more conscious so that we can hold up to all of that feeling. So as you think about giving and receiving, what I would like to imagine is that consciousness becomes the third thing you bring to it. That you realize, of course, your heart's in it. Of course, you want your heart to be in it. But there's so much more going on that gives you an opportunity to grow. So, all right, I found a poem called When Giving is All We Have by Alberto Rios from 1952. So here we go. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big, though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is, first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together, we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together, we made something greater from the difference. That's the whole ultimate opportunity in giving and receiving, is that together we make something greater from the difference. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week and a time of consciousness and going inside. And I appreciate you being here today with me. And I will look forward to talking with you at my next show.